everyone, it's Miss Rebecca. Today we'll be creating a bird with blooming flowers. So the first thing I always like to do is tape down my paper with masking tape. And if you put masking tape around the edge of your paper, it holds the paper down and creates a white frame. Now, starting at the top of your paper, we're going to start with the bird shape with an oval. So this oval is going to be tilted or slanted on its side. It looks kind of like a potato shape here. See how it's slanted? And then we're going to make these two curved lines that come down off of the bottom of the oval for the tail of the bird. Then just add a little triangle for the beak and an arrow that points towards the beak that leads right into the oval shape of the eye. The eye also has a little circle inside of it. Now this little curve represents the wing on the side. We're going to make the bird on a branch with a slanted line that just touches the bottom of your oval here, and another slanted line or diagonal line, that's the branch. We're going to make two little feet with an arch, like a McDonald's arches, just like that, and then close off the bottom of the feet with a little curve here, so it looks like two little oval shapes for the feet. Continue the branch all the way to the bottom of your paper with these curved lines, and all the way to the other side of your paper with these curved lines, so it looks like one branch. And then to make it look more like a branch, add a little second part coming off the top there. And we're going to create the next branch here with a long wavy S-curve all the way to the top of your paper. Just a long wavy line, and it's a little thicker at the bottom here. And we're going to make it get skinnier as it goes up to the top. So follow that same line all the way to the top, and it gets a little bit skinnier as it gets to the top. We're going to continue more branches with some curved lines starting at the bottom of your paper, and just curve, follow the same curve, and stop there. We're going to make another branch here just by making a curve that cuts off that left bottom corner, and double it up, the same curve, and then add a little V shape right here, a little V, and that makes it look like another branch. We're going to add yet another branch right here with a long wavy line that goes all the way to the top of your paper. There we go, and comes down. Always double it up so it looks like a branch. Okay, we have your branches in the middle, on the side, and now we're going to create the leaves. For example, a leaf shape is just a frown and a smile, or a football shape. We're going to repeat this shape, so watch what I do. We're going to do it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So you're just going to repeat this shape. It's a frown or a curve, and a smile or another curve, or again a football shape or an eye shape. So we're going to repeat that leaf 4 times. And notice I'm making them very large, and I'm going right on top of the branches. So I'm just overlapping. I'm going right on top of the branches. That's okay. We're going to do it twice more on the bottom right side, right below that bird's tail. So there we have 1 leaf and 2 leaves on this bottom right side, just like that. Now, we have some erasing to do, so get an eraser, and inside every single leaf shape, you're going to erase anything that might be inside the leaf. Okay, so all these lines here, erase, 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 and you're going to make sure that you rub away all the little crumbs that your eraser leaves. Rub them away, and what you should see is a leaf on top of branches. That's that overlapping effect. So when we erase the branch underneath the leaf, it looks like one thing is on top of the other, and that's overlapping. So just erase everything inside your leaves. Alrighty. Now, you're going to split all your leaf shapes right through the middle. So just draw a line that goes from end to end. And then, one more detail. We're going to add diagonal lines that all point towards the center right here. So just make these little diagonal arrow shapes right through the center of your leaf shapes. And the arrows all point towards the middle. Just like that. They all point towards the middle. You see that? Right there. Okay. And then these last two leaves are going to point in the opposite direction. So make your diagonal arrow lines pointing downwards. Okay. Now, we're going to make a big blob shape. That blob shape is going to start at the bird's beak and go right on top of the leaves and the branches. Go right on top. That's one big blob. And then right in that middle area, make a second big blob shape or organic shape. And then in that bottom right corner, make a wavy blobby line. So these are going to be the flowers in our picture. So we're going to erase everything inside each blob. And we have 3 blobby organic shapes here. Okay, and we're going to erase everything inside. So that means that, we're erasing a lot of leaves and a lot of branches that are inside these organic shapes now, because we want the flowers to look like they're in front of the leaves and the branches. So again, this is overlapping. So it might seem like, well, why did I just draw all of that if I'm going to erase it? There's a reason for it, because now it's going to have the illusion that the flower is in front of the leaf that's left behind. And that's why we do it this way, because it makes that overlapping illusion. So make sure you erase really well and brush off your little crumbs there. Okay, so now we have the basic layout of our picture. Now inside, we're making this smaller organic shape and wavy line with a little circle. And that makes the detail of the inside of each flower. So small organic shape, then wavy line that follows the outside with a little circle. So here we go. Little blob, medium blob, and circle. Okay. And those are your flowers. We're also going to create little tiny flower buds with little blob shapes. So starting at this bottom left corner, add some little blobby organic shapes right on top of all of the stems and the leaves. Just go right on top. It's okay. Notice I'm going on top of a leaf here, and I'm going on top of a branch here. I'm going just in this space, this negative space, and adding these little, they almost look like popcorns, don't they? Add a few at the bottom right as well. Now notice, wow, look at that. Notice that they're on top. So now we have some erasing to do, don't we? Erase inside each little organic shape. So that way it appears that these little blooms are on top of the leaves and on top of the branches. So I'm just erasing everything inside my little blobby shapes so that these little flowers will look like they are in front of the branches and in front of the leaves. See that? Okay, there we have it. Now, you see this little bird's feet? We have to erase inside the little feeties so that the feet look like they are in front of the branch and that the branch is not going through it. So just erase a little bit so it looks like this bird is actually perched on that branch. just sitting right there. There we have it. We're also adding a little curve to the beak. Okay. And a little detail to the tail. All right, and I think we're ready now. I am going to do something that is going to look strange in all the negative space. I'm going to use this white, and it's going to be strange because you can't really see the marks I'm making, but what I'm doing with white is I'm scribbling. This is the only time I'm going to tell you that you should scribble. So scribbling just means like I'm making marks. I'm not necessarily coloring in with the white. I'm just making random swirly marks and dots and lines, but I'm doing it all inside of the blank space that is around the leaves and the branches and the flowers. So all that background space, that is your negative space. Anywhere that there is no drawing is where you're going to be putting all these white marks. Okay, now you can't really see it, but there's a lot of white marks in all this blank negative space. And there's a reason I'm doing this, because we are going to be putting all type of mixed media on this illustration. We're going to use crayons, we're going to use paint, and we're going to use markers. So this can be done with a white crayon or a white oil pastel. Making sure I have my white marks in all the blank negative space, and it's all marked up. So now I'm going to take a blue crayon and I'm going to do the same thing that I just did with the white. So this is the same thing I did with the white. I scribble inside all of the negative blank spaces with my blue crayon now. So first I used white, now I'm using blue, and I'm not filling it in solid, I'm just doing this scribbly marks. So in all the space where you have no drawing. Alright, and add some swirls. Swirls. Very, very scribbly. And this is a little technique we're going to use. To make the background look really cool. So you're going to be scribbling. I'm just making my marks with my blue crayon. And then we're going to switch to paint. So get your watercolors. Now we're going to use a very watery blue, starting at the top left, and take your watery blue and start to paint on top of all the scribbles that you did. Now, what you're going to notice is that the crayon or the oil pastel resists. It resists the water, so that those little marks you made will show right through the paint. And it gives your background some density. It gives it a little bit of flavor to that background. So it's not just a solid background. It's going to give it some depth. There's something going on in the far distance behind this bird and these flowers and these leaves and these branches, that there is a natural life going on in the background. So you see that effect. The crayon resists the water, meaning the water can't be mixed with it. So it makes a very interesting look, and it's pretty fun to see what happens when you put watercolor on top of crayon, because you never know what you're going to get, but it always ends up looking very unique and artistic. So I'm just going over, look at all those white crazy scribble lines that I did. Now they're really showing through because of this watercolor on top. Doesn't that look cool? Yeah. Be careful not to paint on top of your branches or your leaves. You're going around everything very carefully. You're going around your flowers and you're going around your bird. There we go. And that is your background with this cool wax resistant type of technique. Okay, see that? Pretty neat. Okay, let's move on. Now, this is nice and dry. I let it dry for a while. See, it's dry enough. Make sure yours is dry before you do this. We're going to start with the branches first using crayons. So I like to use black and brown. And the branches, we want them to be nice and solid. So that's why I'm using crayon. I'm going to outline all the branches with black. And then I'm going to fill in all the branches with brown. So take your time to make it nice and solid, and that way it'll look like these branches are really contrasting with that background. And then I take the black and I just add a little bit of detail. So what I did was first outlined in black, like I'm doing here, just like that. Then fill in with your brown. Okay, nice and solid. This might take a little bit of time because I'm really trying to make it dark. And then you can do the last little step, which is to take your black and make these little black lines, these little accent marks on top. You don't necessarily have to fill in with the black, but if you want to add a little like bark texture, you can do that by adding these little black marks. So I always like to outline in black all my branches, and your branches were those double lines that you drew in the beginning. Fill in the branches with brown. Fill it in nice and solid. And then you can take your black if you like and add those little accent lines for texture. It makes it look like tree bark. And that last couple of branches, we're going to repeat the same thing. Outline with black. And then fill in with your brown. And don't forget to add your little black dashes right on top of the brown to make it look like texture. Okay, branches done, background done. Now take your black crayon and let's do these little details inside the bird all black. So the beak is filled in with black crayon, nice and solid. The oval of the eye is outlined and the circle is outlined, but only fill in the bottom of the eye with black. The little bird's feet outline with black and fill in completely with black. Nice and solid. Take your time there, stay in the lines. Okay. Also, the center of the flowers are going to be filled in with black. So that's these little oval or circle shapes in the middle of your flowers. Go ahead and fill in those with black. All right, next up are the leaves. Change to your green crayon and let's give these leaves an outline. So when we outline, that just means you're tracing right on top of your pencil lines. So make sure you outline all of the lines inside your leaves. So that's going to give your leaves the detail that you want. Those veins that are inside your leaves, those are your diagonal little arrow shapes, arrow lines right here. And take your time to give it a nice green outline for your leaves. And the last two, outline with your green. I'm really going over this outline to make it nice and solid, because we're going to end up painting on top of this crayon, and the crayon will show through. There we go. These diagonal slanted lines, and that's that for the leaves for now. Now we're going to do all the flowers using markers. This is when we're going to switch to marker. Let's start with our warm colored markers. Take a red marker and use the side of your marker as you outline around each flower. So when I say use the side of your marker, I'm kind of like tilting my marker on its side so I get a thick outline. And what you're going to notice is that you have a lot of small little organic shapes to trace around with this red. So here is the larger flowers. I'm just giving it an outline using the side of my marker to give it a thick red outline. And this is the second one. I'm going around the outside of it with my red marker. And the last one is that one in the corner. Just do the outer edge with the red. So they all got outlined. Now we're switching to orange. So again, we're using the warm colors for the flowers. So that's red, orange, and yellow. The next line from the outside, we're going to outline with orange. So we're going to do that on these three big flowers. Notice I'm using the side of my marker to get a thicker outline. You just kind of tilt your marker to the side and you'll get that thicker outline. And I'm doing that on the small little flowers too. And the bird. The bird is also going to get an orange outline all the way around the outer edge of the bird. Even that little arrow shape next to the eye is going to get an orange outline. There we go. Now we're switching to yellow, which is our final marker color we're going to use. So all the remaining lines here in the flower is just one more right here in the middle. We're going to outline that with yellow. And we're going to outline the bird as well with the yellow marker. So go on the inside edge of the orange. Go around the orange with the yellow, just to give this bird some color here. There we have it. Now we're switching to yellow. We're going to use a little bit of yellow paint and water it down quite a bit. The only part that we're going to be making yellow with the paint is the bird. So we're going to paint inside this bird, and you're going to notice that the orange marker is going to blend in a nice way. We want that. That's good. And now we have our pretty yellow bird. And we're going to do the same thing around the inside of the flower with the yellow. Okay, now we're just going to use water. So just using water now. Use the water and go right on top of the orange and the red marker. And everything should bleed together in a nice, natural way. See that? Now I'm not using any paint now, I'm just using water, and the ink of the marker now is turning into paint. You could do that on all of your little blossoms. Just add water and it turns it into paint. There we go. Adding water, adding water. And the last thing is the green of the leaves. So I'm just taking a watery green and I'm putting it right on top of my leaf. Notice that the crayon shows through, and you're just filling in all your leaves. Being careful because we don't want it to bleed into the bird. We don't want the green to mix with the flowers either. So just take your time and try to stay inside your leaf shape with your green watercolor. There we go. And that's it. And we let this dry. So let it dry before we tear off the tape, or peel off the tape rather. So when we peel off the tape, just be super careful. If it starts to tear your paper, stop and restart. What you're going to notice is if you peel it off slowly, the paper, it won't tear as easily. But what you're left with is that really pretty white border. So if you have masking tape, I like to use masking tape just so you can have this effect at the end, this nice white frame. And voila, it's all finished. Make sure you post your stuff on Google Classroom. I'd love to see your work. Thanks, guys. Bye.